Hello again, my name is Zane Safrit, and I'm here with Mark Thornton, President with the Carry On Bag Program.
Hi, Zane.
Hi. Thanks for being here, because I know you got a super busy program at work, personal life, and then you also do this great work with the Carry On Bag Program. So thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Now tell us a little bit about it. You know, what inspired you to get involved? How long has it been going on?
Sure.
Yeah.
A lot of, as I thought about that question
Yeah.
in particular, a lot of different directions I could have gone.
Sure.
The program actually started, my family and I moved to Fairfield in 2010 from
Okay.
St. Louis.
Okay.
While we were in St. Louis, the company that I worked for got right-sized. The church that we attended down there actually did a lot like the Lord's Cupboard.
Okay.
And so in the interim, I was teaching classes at a hospital,
Okay.
trying to teach physicians and nurses how to use the electronic record system.
Whoa.
Not because I knew anything about medical stuff or computers, but because I could teach. That's what my degree was in.
Okay.
So on the days that I didn't work,
Yeah.
I worked at our church,
Okay.
kind of like the Lord's Cupboard here in town. So I saw people. I was fortunate enough that
Yeah.
we didn't need the services,
Yeah, sure.
but you saw people with a need, and was fortunate enough to get hired at Cambridge.
Yeah.
And we moved here in 2010. Cambridge is really big, as I'm sure you're aware,
Yeah.
on pushing people to volunteer. Not pushing, but suggesting,
Yeah.
and providing incentives for people to do that.
Yeah.
So we worked with Habitat for Humanity a couple of times.
Okay.
And my ex-wife was working at Washington School as a
Okay.
paraprofessional.
Great.
And she came home one night and was, I won't say upset, but concerned.
Yeah.
And I said, it's toward the end of the school year, what's going on?
Yeah.
And she said, a couple of the other associates and a couple of teachers, we've noticed she worked in the preschool. So Heart for Kids, right? And she said, a couple of the other associates and teachers are concerned that, we think some of these kids aren't learning the way that they could because they're coming to school with an empty stomach. And it's like, well, there's free breakfast, right? I mean, come on. Well, that has qualifications, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, is there a day of the week that really seems worst?
Yeah.
Mondays. Always Mondays.
Right.
Like,
Ding, ding. Yeah.
okay, duh.
Yeah.
Put two and two together. Those kids aren't getting fed on the weekends. How can you learn with an empty stomach, right? So as soon as school was out, we gathered up probably, I'm going to say 10 to 15 people in the library at Washington, and that was the start of Carry On Bags.
What year was this?
This was 2013.
Okay.
And so our first year of providing bags to the students
Yeah.
was the 2013-2014 school year. We had no clue what we were doing, no idea on the face of this earth.
No, but
The good news is we found community leaders who really cared.
a lot in Fairfield.
We found some great partners,
Yep.
and the school was willing to let us do it. So our first packing, we did in the Methodist church is where we've always packed, always where we've stored things.
Yeah.
Jess Rockhold was the assistant pastor at the time, and was very instrumental. Also the youth pastor, and was very instrumental in getting it off the ground and making sure that we had a place to do the packing and storing. And so that's where we started. The first packing that we did took us 3 to 3.5 hours.
Oh my goodness.
It was
Oh my goodness.
there wasn't much efficiency going on there.
That just hurts.
Yeah. Now you helped pack last week, right?
I did.
And it was 45 minutes maybe?
No, 15.
Okay.
Boom, done. And we're working with short staff too.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe 30.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've come a long ways, just from an efficiency standpoint.
Well, I tell everybody, it's a machine. You go in there, they have everything set up.
Yep.
Boom, boom, boom. And 15 minutes later, the first time I went, 15 minutes, done, 180 bags.
Yep.
This time it was 30 minutes, only because we had about half the number of staff.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
now I'm going to ask an awkward question.
Sure.
How many bags did you fill in that first 3.5 hour stint?
300.
Okay,
So it was a decent number.
that was, but 300.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And it took us, part of the problem was we were doing the packing in the basement
Yeah.
of the church, and the storage room was on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
So we'd load everything up, take it up the elevator, right?
Oh my goodness. You had to stop, wait.
Have to stop, we'd have to wait. They would have to wait on me. We had too many people there, honestly,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first night, because all the board members were there.
Sure.
Their kids were there. People from the church, I mean, just stepping all over each other.
Right. Right.
After that first year, we pretty much got it figured out and got it down to where it was, we were asking for volunteers. Volunteers are great, but they don't want to come and spend 3 hours.
No.
Unless you're offering them, some incentive. We got nothing to offer.
So the first year was 300. All right. But that had to, tell me, because the numbers have changed since then.
Sure. Yeah. So the first year, it fluctuated a lot.
Okay.
I don't really, to this day, I don't know why. I just think it was, the first year was really trying to figure out our way,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
And, there would be weeks where we'd have 225. There'd be weeks where we'd have 350.
And how do you know how many numbers, how many bags to fill each week?
So that was part of figuring out the process. We started out, the first 2 weeks was just a guess.
Sure.
And then we decided maybe we should have a sign-up sheet. And again, that's where the school came in, very helpful, in that they would pass those out. So the next year they passed those out during registration.
Okay.
And then we also sent a supply to each building as well. That allowed us to get a handle on the numbers,
Okay.
allowed us to budget some as well. The thing that I think kind of set us apart from from a lot of other programs, we don't ask any income questions, nothing whatsoever. It's, do you need it? Let us know if you don't.
All right. So this is a question that I haven't formulated, so it might be awkward. But why is that so important? Because Erica and the Little Free Food Pantries does it. And it seems to be a little bit of a sticking point unless you're in need, and then you don't care.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, I think part of the reason that we had even the need in the first place
Yeah, sure.
is there are a lot of people who qualify
Yep.
for benefits.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that don't as well, that have the same problems.
Maybe they're just just on
Just
the other
just
side,
above the line.
$5 more.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's enough of a stigma attached to that stuff that we never really considered ever even asking the question.
No.
The only question we've ever asked
Yeah.
is, what would you like to see different
Good for you.
in the bags?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. The school can give us the statistics on how many students are in the free and reduced program.
Right.
We don't want to know who they are. We just want to know how many there are to see if we're meeting a need.
And do the numbers run parallel the first group and getting assistance, and the second group signed up for the carry-on bag program? Do they pretty much run parallel with each other?
So we definitely are not hitting everybody that's on free and reduced.
Why is that?
Not even close.
I mean, I'm not at, it's not a challenge.
Sure. I think the ones that are on free and reduced are getting other benefits,
Yeah,
like the old food stamps program, which now
sure.
SNAP, right?
yeah,
So they are realizing additional
yeah,
benefits is probably the wrong word to use, but additional services.
yeah,
I think the ones that we're serving
yeah.
are ones that don't have that level of service.
Okay.
So those that are, you used to hear about latchkey kids. I'm going to say these are the kids that are in the middle. Their families aren't extremely well off. They struggle to make ends meet, but as we talked about earlier, they don't qualify for a lot of the services that others do. Purely, I guess, on my part, there's nothing scientific about it.
Okay.
I think the other thing too, sometimes that we see, and we've noticed this in the past, are families with multiple children.
Yep.
The benefits that they get elsewhere probably don't meet all that need.
No.
By
I mean,
any
kids eat, like horses anyway. So.
Oh, I know. Yeah, absolutely.
I try to envision, it's one of the reasons why, I'm so fond of your program. First off, you got a great group.
Yeah.
You and Lori Levan and all the other volunteers there. They're so much fun. They're so organized. Yeah. They're so dedicated. They've only been doing it for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just heard that last week. Been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's such a need. And I remember growing up when I was hungry. It was a really unpleasant situation for somebody, either me or the person that I was having to deal with me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I grew up in a family of 4 boys.
Yeah.
All of us within 5 years of age.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't, to this day, know how my parents pulled it off.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah. You ate what was put in front of you, right?
Ate it quick too.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, no kid should go hungry. They just shouldn't. And I remember early on in the days when, because Zane, we struggled financially at the start.
Yeah, sure.
We started with no money in the bank.
Yeah.
And that need's always been met somehow or other.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know that we have people in the community, civic organizations. There's grants that we've received locally and some nationally.
Okay.
Mark Levan does a great job of writing grants.
Okay.
Wonderful job for us. He's also our secretary.
Okay.
We just have been blessed.
Yeah.
I still remember a time where, as a board, we met after one packing and we didn't have enough money to do the next week. The next 2 weeks packing. And we said, what do we do? Well, we got to cut down. Okay, we can cut down. Let's wait and let's just see what happens.
Yeah, sure.
We've never missed. I mean, go figure, right?
Had it hit?
Yeah. And the other thing I think that maybe I think is unique about us is that we don't spend any money on administrative stuff.
Right.
The only money that we spend on anything other than food, we have to do our taxes.
Because as a 501c3,
Right.
your donations are cross the threshold.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to file taxes every year.
Okay. Yeah, that's a headache.
But there's never been an audit. There's never been a question. So
no. Now a couple of numbers are rattling around in my head. One is that I understand that when the students reach high school, the participation in the program drops off.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
I think it's the stigma as much as anything.
Yeah.
It's their responsibility to go get the bag if their parent signs them up for it
Okay.
in high school.
Okay.
Up until that point, it's distributed by the classroom teacher or put in their backpack, or the stigma of somebody seeing me leave a classroom to go get my bag is not at the lower levels.
Especially for teenagers, because we're such great human beings as teenagers.
Yeah, aren't we though?
Whew, that's brutal.
Yeah, and trust me, we have tried every way we can think of
Yeah.
to get that to change, and it just doesn't.
No, that's just human nature.
Yeah,
in our society.
yeah.
But I don't think it's unique to us.
No, I would agree.
Now, you started out with 300,
Mm-hmm.
and then last year there were only 150, and then it bounced up to 180 this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, walk us through how and why those numbers change. Because in my simplified world, and in my marketing mindset, I'm thinking numbers going up, good
Yeah.
to illustrate the need, but numbers going down, now there's, it's at variance with my little narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So walk us through that.
So I think there's a lot of reasons
Yeah,
that the numbers fluctuate.
yeah,
Certainly in the early years, I'm going to go back a ways to get to where we are today.
yeah,
But certainly in the early years, they fluctuated. And honestly, I asked some community leaders, people who had been in the community for years,
yeah,
why is that need even here? This is a town of 10,000 people, and, got lots of different reasons. See you rubbing your head there.
yeah. That's,
You get lots of different reasons.
Yeah,
But it's, in looking at the statistics,
yeah.
it's not just Fairfield.
No, it's not.
It's not just Jefferson County.
Nope.
It's not just Iowa. It's a nationwide problem. And so in figuring out, or trying to figure out, why the fluctuation, the biggest thing that I can say, or again in my narrow view of what it is, we're seeing declining enrollment in the schools. So I think that's some of it. I think some of it is people are making better use. They're more focused on using what's in the bag and not knowing that it's going to come again next week
Okay,
and the week after
right.
and the week after and the week after. This is not going away.
Okay.
And I think that's helped a lot in the economics of the program, because I honestly believe, that people would, maybe have a high schooler, a middle schooler, a couple of elementary students and one in preschool, and somebody going to CETA,
Yeah,
which we deliver to as well. And so they would get bags for all those children,
okay.
thinking that, well, if something doesn't
Yeah, we've got some
work,
backup.
we got some backup. Fair enough. And we're never going to ask, we're never going to judge. My thought is, if we pack 360 bags, if we pack 400 bags, if we help one student,
Okay.
then it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Now, one of the questions is, do people ever leave the program? And that is because their circumstances change.
Yeah. Circumstances change. Of course, people leave the district.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Circumstances change. There are some who will use it temporarily.
Right.
Do I pay my heat bill this month, or do I go buy groceries?
Right.
Well, if I can save a little money by taking advantage sounds wrong, but by using that program,
Yeah.
that's what it's there for.
Well, Erica Powell Voorhees was our guest just before you, and she was talking about that example of, had a problem with the car.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they had 2 cars. They both worked at the same place.
Yep.
But somebody who did not have that, for 2 months, how are they going to make that up? How are they going to pay for the car?
Sure.
So in this case, the children have something to fall back on.
Yep.
Then do you guys have any idea of the demographics of the students participating?
So I can tell you, we deliver in totes.
Yeah.
15 bags to a tote.
Okay.
We deliver the largest number to Pence and Washington. And then in between that is the middle school. So the largest need is at the preschool to 5th grade or 4th grade, I guess.
Okay.
And then 5 through 8 is at the middle school.
Okay.
So we deliver 4 totes to Pence, 4 to Washington, and 3 to the middle school.
Okay.
And then we do have food available at the high school, and we replace it as needed.
Okay. Then one of the statistics that really grinds on me is 10% is the estimated number. 10% of the population in Jefferson County suffers what's called food insecurity.
Sure.
That's where people didn't eat yesterday, probably aren't eating today, probably aren't going to eat tomorrow.
Right.
And if they do, it's going to be a surprise. And that's bad enough because Washington County, just one county up, the average number is 7%. 10% means about 1,500 people right now, 1,500 to 2,000 in Jefferson County are in that situation. But for school-aged children, the number jumps to 13%,
Right.
almost 14%. As I was telling the city council, that's not a good trend line.
No.
That
No.
means your younger parents, the ones with, you're going to build your community around, aren't doing as well.
I would
Is
agree.
that what you're seeing?
I absolutely think that's the case. And it's interesting that there are people I've been here 13 years, and I'm sure there were homeless people here in 2010.
Probably.
But I'll bet if you asked the man on the street in 2010, they would have said, nah. And it's the same thing with food insecurity.
Yeah.
That statistic you just gave, if I see 10 people on the street today, one of them's not eating. That's kind of sad, isn't it, in America?
Well, and in an
And
agricultural community,
yeah, and
farming
then
community,
and then a
no
child?
food and a child,
Huh.
come on,
Yeah, give me a break.
seriously.
So there is a need. There definitely is a need. It's not up to me to say who it is. It's up to me to help provide for that need.
Exactly. And just to drill on that point, in my conversations with people around town and some of my friends have done really well and they're successful, and they ask me, "What are you doing these days, Zane?" I go, I'm helping with this thing," and they look at me and I tell them about some of the programs like yours and others, and they go, "Well, there's probably people just taking advantage of it." I go, "No. You could go twice around town to all of them and still not really be taking advantage of it and do what it takes to receive the food, just to ask for the help."
Yep.
It's such a humbling experience.
It absolutely is. And the story I shared about, the food pantry that I worked at,
Yeah.
volunteered at, volunteered at down
Yeah.
in St. Louis. It was in a pretty affluent community. It was in Troy, Missouri.
Okay.
So if you've ever driven down 61, you see that high school there.
Nice, huh?
beautiful. It's a pretty well-to-do community, a lot like Fairfield, and they had the need. You know?
Did that shock you when you had been, doing well, everything's going great.
Yep.
You'd had your schedule through the day, your
Yep.
routine, and then all of a sudden you stepped out of that and you see the community from a different perspective. Was that shocking to you?
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say it's an underground society, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
In some respects, and it's humbling to me, first of all, to look back at my life and know what my parents
Yeah.
did to feed me and my three brothers. Pretty amazing.
Right. Right.
And then to see that there are people who truly have the need, and it's not only is it humbling, it's very they don't realize how much they bless us by
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
being able to provide something, just a little something for them.
Well, I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm willing to bet the experience is similar, which is every group I volunteer at, whether it's helping in the kitchen at Golden Magnolia, it's helping in the line with you, delivering to homes or to cars with First United Methodist or First Church of the Nazarene. No matter how hard the work is, and some of it's pretty challenging.
Sure.
3 hours of lifting food bins.
You bet.
And yet I always come away just feeling better, happier, and like you said, it's almost a privilege for me to be able to give to folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so what's in a food bag? What's in a carry-on bag?
Well, so we try.
Whatever we can afford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, when we first started, I actually pulled something off our website today, which I hadn't looked at it. We got to get this thing updated. We were running at $3 a bag when we first started. Not bad. It's $5 now. We're fortunate. Dee Sandquist is on our board, nutritional coach.
Absolutely.
And so she was instrumental in making sure that we got the right. First of all, the food has to be shelf sustainable,
Yeah.
so non-perishables.
Yeah.
Has to be something we could fit in a bag.
Yep.
Keep in mind, there's pre-kindergarten kids that are getting some of these bags, so it can't be real heavy either. So there's a lot of things to balance as you
I
decide
never
what to
thought
put
about
in.
that last part. Yeah.
Yep. So some oatmeal, granola bars, little applesauce cups, either peanut butter or chicken, little cans of chicken,
Protein.
mac and cheese.
Mac and
How
cheese.
could you go wrong?
No.
In the cups
Heck no.
that just need water,
Okay.
right?
That's great.
And then like a SpaghettiOs or ravioli or something like that.
Yeah, sure. Carbs and some
Yep.
protein.
Yep.
A little bit of fat.
Yeah. So, and today, as I said, that's running about $5 a bag.
Okay. So, where do people find you on the web? I'm hesitating here because I'm so enjoying this conversation, but you got work to do. Where do people find you on the web? How can they donate, volunteer, support, all of that?
So again, we're really blessed because we have volunteers who do this just out of the goodness of their heart. Not everybody's retired.
Okay.
So,
Right.
and so carryonbags.org
Okay.
is our website. We have a Facebook page as well.
That's just for you. It's not a national group. It's
That's
your
correct.
group.
Yep,
Okay,
it's
great.
just us. If they want to volunteer,
Yeah.
carry on bags 52556
Okay.
at gmail.com.
Okay.
We check. I don't. Somebody checks the email and gets with folks. We actually have a volunteer coordinator who does a wonderful job.
Yep.
Kay Unkrich just
Yeah.
does a fantastic job. We've had others as well.
Yeah, sure.
And that seems to be the one that we rotate through a little bit,
Okay.
getting folks to line up the volunteers. But, the community has been fabulous. We've had banks who've packed, the health center is packed, civic groups.
Yeah.
Just sometimes we'll throw 3 or 4 volunteer groups together
Okay.
to get it done. And it works fabulous. Ron Haines at MidWestOne Bank is our treasurer. If you felt led to donate, just drop in there, or we actually have a P.O. box as well.
Okay.
P.O. Box 1041
Okay.
here in Fairfield,
Okay.
52556. So
Fantastic. Now, I have been given the power to grant you one wish to change anything in this dynamic that creates such a need for children to have food on the weekend. What would you change?
man, if I could wave a magic wand, the need would just go away.
Okay.
No, that's not going to happen.
Probably not.
Why are children in that situation? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Mom, dad lose a job. Do I put food on the table or do I buy heat? I hate to see kids suffer. And if there is anything that if I could wave a magic wand, even if they're still hungry, we know they can get, folks like us, you, me, we'll make sure they get fed. But if there's other suffering that's going on, that's the magic wand I'd like to wave.
Fair enough.
And I think, one of the things that we have really toyed with as a board, not so much in the last couple of years, but when COVID was going on, was what other services could we be providing to those families? And maybe it's budgeting help, and not us doing it, but pointing them to resources that can help them with those things. I've always said, in America, we don't have an earnings problem. We have a savings problem.
Yeah.
There's way too many people, been there, not pointing fingers, who live paycheck to paycheck and, spend right up to the edge and sometimes over the edge. We're an instant gratification society, and it's easier to get a credit card than to wait, right?
Yeah.
And I think, that's affected our children. And I think it's sad.
Nice.
I'm fortunate to have 3 daughters, and they've figured out that living on credit ain't going to get it done. And so
You did good, Dad.
yeah, I'm. If they didn't learn anything else from me,
Yeah.
they've learned that.
Okay, that's great.
So,
Seriously, I
yeah.
mean, because a lot of people, don't.
No, I absolutely know it. And I'm so proud of all 3 of them living within their means.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right, so you are a leader. You're also busy as heck. So you might not have a whole lot of time, but if you did have time, what would you be reading?
So thank you for that question,
All right.
because it actually made me think a little bit, not only about what I should be reading.
Yeah.
It's got me started when you sent this over, 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I realized that I hadn't been as diligent about doing that kind of stuff as I
Yeah.
should be.
Well, you got a full schedule.
And so one of the books that I've read in the last 5 or so years that really has made an impact is a book. My degree is in education,
Yeah.
social studies,
Okay.
and big history buff. And Doris Kearns Goodwin wrote a book a few years back, Band of Rivals,
Okay.
and it was about President Lincoln
Okay.
and how he formed his cabinet and worked with his cabinet
Wow.
from 1861 to 65.
Wow.
He had 0 yes men on his cabinet. He had people that had run against him
Wow.
in the primaries. He had Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
He wanted everybody's opinion. And how he formed that team to guide the country through the Civil War and come out on the other side. So a lot of differing opinions
Yeah.
can create a really positive outcome. So keeping with that kind of military mindset,
Yeah.
General Billy McChrystal,
Okay. Yeah.
who was one of our military leaders in the Middle East,
Yep.
has started to become a bit of a consultant to a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book called Risk,
Okay.
which kind of did a postmortem on how we handled the early years of COVID
Okay.
from a military perspective. That was interesting, but he's got a newer book out called Team of Teams.
Okay.
And it's an organizational structure book that deals with how most companies prior to COVID were top-down structured,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how now they've had to change that whole idea and have teams that are actually able to interact to make decisions to flow up the chain of command rather than top-down.
That's inspiring.
Yeah, and he bases it on his military experience
Sure.
and the way that things worked in the Gulf Wars and the fight against terrorism, and how the old you make a decision as a 4-star general and it was up to everybody else to carry it out when he ain't getting out of his chair in the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Right? That's not going to work
Yeah.
because he's not boots on the ground.
Yeah. Things are different.
Absolutely. And then I'm a bit of a sports nut as well.
All right.
And Kansas City Chiefs fan, so I'm
Okay,
living
come
pretty
on, get it.
living pretty large right now.
Yes, you are.
But I found a book that was written about the first Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. That was a Green Bay, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was the title of the book is When It Was Just a Game.
Right.
And the guy that wrote it did interviews with Chiefs fans, executives, players, coaches, anybody you could find that was still alive,
Yeah.
and likewise with the Packers.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. It was just a game.
Completely different.
Yeah. You watch the Super Bowl this year, my goodness.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. What a
The
show.
commercials were longer than the first game, the first Super Bowl was, right, back in the day.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So
That's great. Those are great books. I'm going to have to go check those out.
get my weekend chuckles out of those.
I used to read a lot of history and business books. I had a podcast interviewing business authors and experts. And then one day I just thought, I'm done with business books. I can't read another one. And I've been reading fiction ever since. So maybe with that, I'll circle back and check out a couple of these.
Yeah, I think you would, if you've got time, because the Band of Rivals book is like that.
I bet.
It's
Good
thick.
gosh.
But,
She's a good writer anyway.
Oh, she is amazing. And it's you'd be shocked how quick you get through it once you get into it. At least I was.
Okay. Hey, we got to go. I'm sad to say because I'm really enjoying this conversation. Thank you so
Zane.
much.
Appreciate it.
I got to do the wrap up. Once again, shout outs to Werner Elmker for the digital studio, the man behind the cameras, makes this all happen. My next guest is Cameron Cooksey, who is the manager of the Works program at the Well. He's going to tell us about all the things they're doing there with helping people guide them through, I guess, reentry into the workforce. Might be a nice way to put it. Cameron will put it better. And on that note, thanks so much.
Thank you, Zane. Appreciate it. Thanks for all you do.
You're quite welcome.